right, welcome back, everybody.
Yes.
Parapalooza Fall 2021. I almost said 2020, 21.
2020,
I
2021.
can't talk today for nothing. So excited to be here with you guys. We really appreciate you tuning in this weekend. It's been a lot of fun. Last segment was pretty cool.
Yeah. Time flies so fast.
Went by
We're
so
doing
quick.
this.
I know it sucks. But hey, this segment we got Vinny from AZPIRS on, and he's going to talk about paranormal investigating and offer up a guide. So without further ado, let's get this one rolling here. What's up, Vinny? How you doing?
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good. We're good. How you doing today?
Okay, so basically we're going to talk a little bit about how to do an entire paranormal investigation from the get-go of the first contact from the client through your actual review. Okay, so I'm going to pop up something because I need to do a little reading. One of the things I want you to always consider and do is to respect the location and respect the spirits that you are encountering. Always, if you're doing an investigation somewhere and you're bringing bottled water, make sure that you pick up and clean up after yourself. So if you leave a mess somewhere, you're probably never going to be invited back at all. But again, respect the dead and be professional when you investigate. There's a couple terms that are used: paranormal investigator and a ghost hunter. They're actually a little bit different while everybody considers them the same. Ghost hunters, a lot of people got into the field because of the popularity of TV. They saw it, they kind of was interested in it. Maybe they did have some type of experiences, but that was one of the main reasons why they did get involved. Personally, myself, I had experiences throughout my life and I needed answers. Other people that I encountered, there was no place back in the 80s to go. There was no books. There was no reference to really figure out what's going on, and it was almost like a taboo to try to talk about that experiences. So being able to sit down and relate with somebody that has the same type of things that happened to them made things a little bit easier, put people at ease. Everybody's it'd be really cool if I had a ghost in my house. No, it's not. If you're being tormented every day, it takes a toll on your relationships, your marriage, your job, and even possibly your health. One thing I want to reference is a quote from Jason Hawes from TAPS. Basically, this is something to really remember. If you go on an investigation to prove a haunting exists, then every bit of evidence you capture, you're going to say it's paranormal. But if you go on an investigation to disprove a haunting and painstakingly review that evidence, and if you're really still left with questions, it's simply then something that you can't disprove, and it's best inconclusive. The word paranormal cannot be explained by rational means or scientific methods. It doesn't necessarily mean haunted. Haunted and paranormal really are not the same thing. It's a little bit on a different side. A lot of people have YouTube channels, and it's great. Some of them do a very good job where they go through the history of a location. They do investigations. Just remember, the main star of those YouTubes really should be the location, the history, and your evidence that you've captured. Now, a lot of people that I've investigated with over the years, you got to review your evidence. Most of your evidence is come through your review. You might be on a site, you don't hear anything, nothing ever happens. Then you go review your audio, your video footage. All of a sudden, you have all this stuff that's going on. We were investigating with one group. He had a DVR system. We used to set up 12 cameras. It took hours to set them up. And then at night, he was very particular. He wanted all the cables cleaned. So we had baby wipes, and we'd have to pull and clean each cable as we wrapped it. It took forever. Went on a few investigations, asking, hey, whatever happened to that footage from blah, blah, blah? Oh, yeah, I recorded over it. Did you ever watch it or, go through it? No, I didn't have time. What was the sense of doing it? So it's really important. It's part of the whole thing to investigate and review what you have investigated to find that evidence that's hiding. Okay, so that's very, very important. All right, television, paranormal investigations on TV. Most of it's edited. I mean, you got to be realistic. These people, it is an entertainment. They do a good job for what they're doing, but they have to provide a product to keep the viewers enthralled, to have those people that are putting money into commercials to keep pouring it in and keep the show on. Otherwise, nothing is going to be on. The old taps, when that first came out, My wife said, "You got to watch this." I ended up sitting down. This thing isn't going to last because it was boring. Everywhere they went, they tried to disprove everything. They came up with reasons. They're plumbers. They know a little bit about building. A door is out of whack. Different things that are causing the quote claims. So it wasn't very lively. It wasn't very thrilling. So as you see over the years, things on all the shows tend to morph, and that's absolutely fine. But paranormal investigating is very tedious and it's time consuming. I mean, sometimes there are long hours and you get nothing. And you got to be patient. That's the biggest thing. That's one attribute you have to have, is to be patient. And you need to observe. You have to be very organized, because there's a lot of data that you're going to be collecting. And you have to have a good temperament. You can't fly off the handle when something goes wrong. I've investigated, and I'm going to say I have been, doing that sometimes myself. But you do have to be even keel when you're doing investigations. So basically, you need evidence to support evidence. A lot of people are kind of touching base on that today. I'm going to use an analogy about rain. If you go outside and it got cool, it got cool. If you go outside and say it got windy, it got windy. You go out and it got cloudy, it got cloudy. But when you have all that happening at once, there's a possibility of rain. If you have evidence supporting evidence, there's a possibility of paranormal activity. So, okay, you are now, you open up shop, you have a website, you get matching t-shirts, whatever the case may be, and people know that you exist. You get contacted by somebody, I got stuff going on my house. I get emails constantly. We have something which is we call the intake form. And it's important to try to utilize this. And it kind of gets rid of the people that are looking to be entertained. Our intake form basically provides information about the location, type of activity that's going on, who is there, their names, ages, any pets. Is that where you live? Is that where you work? A bit of a narrative of all the client's experiences. And you also get to learn a little bit about them, spiritual beliefs, what type of medications they're on, any type of health issues that they may have, or even mental issues, what type of medications really come into play. And I'll explain that a little bit later on. And what do they believe? Do they watch the paranormal TV shows? Are they influenced by the media and different things like that? You got to realize that when you're out doing an investigation, you got to drive to the place. Sometimes that could take 2-3 hours. You're there for 6-8 hours, whatever the case may be. And then you got that review. You got 60 hours plus almost every time to review. And that's a straight review. Then you got to go in and review that individual items that you found, share with other investigators, so you can make a conclusion if there was really any type of paranormal things going on there. So it's really important to kind of use them. So when you do have a forum and you feel that there's something going on, you're going to have an interview with the client. You're going to basically discuss everything on the forum. You're going to want some additional data about the location, which you might not be aware of. Any historical data that they can provide, which is really good. Your previous owners is really helpful to have. Sometimes you're doing a commercial location. It's good to see if you can get a floor plan in advance. Now, when you let them go, you're going to have them keep a journal for a couple of weeks. And you're going to have them write down time, things happen, weather conditions, who is present, were there any people present, what actually happened. Was it audible? Was it something visual, like you saw a shadow, something moved, something touched you, you smelled something? And you keep that for a couple of weeks. If there are witnesses, you do want to speak with them also, because sometimes people are going to exaggerate the situation. Okay. So once you get all that going, you're going to look now and see kind of if there's a pattern. If it's one person it's really happening to, which may be the person that's a trigger or possibly is sensitive. Okay. Another thing you got to realize is, yes, you do want to help people, but sometimes it's more harm than good to actually go on a location. Try, if anything, to just provide phone counsel. Basically telling something to stop the activity really works. Remember, you're going to go out there, you're going to do an investigation. They live there or they work there, 24/7. So, you got to be careful. We were called in numerous times. Somebody had a team in there. We always ask, has anybody ever investigated here? What actually happened? Oh, they left and, the shit hit the fan and all this stuff started to go on. there was a couple other issues where, we're like, okay, well, what are we going to do that they did different? What kind of evidence? What did they find? I don't know. They never got back to us. So they went, they investigated, they ghost hunted, and then that was it. They dropped the ball. They never really helped the client. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. So if you do decide you're going to do an actual investigation, you have to make sure that they're comfortable with what you're going to do and understand what you're doing. And you don't need to be technical, K2 measures this or does that. You just want to tell them we're going to bring in specific equipment and how you're going to try to use that. And make sure that everyone that is related to the party, to that location, knows about it and or is going to be present. For instance, we went to a house once, we got our gear, our road cases and all. We walk in there, ring the doorbell, and the guy answers, the husband, and he's looking at us, and he's, seeing that, the paranormal oriented shirts. And what the heck, what's this all about? Oh, your wife. And he knew somebody was coming over, but he didn't know that it was going to be a paranormal investigation. So make sure everybody in the household does know that. And please don't have them invite their friends. We rolled up on one place. There was a bunch of people standing outside. When we grabbed the client, we asked, what's going on here? And they're like, well, all of our friends wanted to come and ghost hunt with you. It's like, no, this isn't what we're doing. We're not entertaining you. So you got to make sure that, they understand that this is, something that is kind of serious because you're there to help them. So a lot of time investigators will have other people come out and help them. They might be, maybe somebody that on your team is on vacation, but you always got to remember, if at all possible, only investigate with people that you're familiar with. Their style. Voices, you're in a location, a lot of times you're using digital recorders, you're not seeing anything, and you hear a voice. What was that? If you're familiar with your team, you're going to know, hey, that's, so-and-so's voice, and you understand that. Plus, there's a lot of people out there, everybody has a sense of humor, but there's a place and time for everything, and you got to make sure you don't have pranksters that are going to be coming out. Now, we have one of our people that we investigate with, Darren. I hope Darren's listening. He's nicknamed the Shadow. He's dressed in black hat, wears headphones. His style is he walks around with a digital recorder, and he's listening to everything. And he blends into the background. I can tell you a million times, you're walking down a hall or walking into a room, all of a sudden, out of the shadows, this thing appears, and it's Darren. So just remember that to really know how your people actually work. Now, when you're doing an investigation, one of the things you got to realize, this is confidential. People don't want their laundry aired. They don't want their neighbors to know that they're experiencing something, or their coworkers, or even, some of their families. So that YouTube and Facebook, I know you would love to put your information up there, but you really need to make sure that it's okay with them. You should really get releases printed and have them signed. And if you're doing, say, a historic location, you're doing like a documentary on it, make sure that you give the location its actual credit that is deserved. Some teams love to contact the media, and, come down and, watch us, investigate. It's really not part of what it should be done. The investigation shouldn't be turned into a spectacle. You're really there to help this family or this client deal with the paranormal issues that they have. So before you go to the actual investigation, you got to do a couple of things. One thing is research. Find names, events, different things that pertain to that location. Sometimes during an investigation, you might get a name or something pop up. And if you have some of that information, it actually might jive with the location and its history. So you know that you're on to something. We use a lot of times what we call a control group. Some of our people are sensitives, and normally we don't want them to know what's going on at a location. Usually the team leader, like myself, I will go in, meet with the client. We would do the walkthrough. I know all the different claims, maybe one or two other investigators, but most of the group really doesn't know what's going on. Basically, we don't want to influence things that you hear. We don't want you to interpret evidence based on what has been told. We want you to discover that on your own. So that's very, very helpful. Another thing that I do on investigations is there's some sites that you can get and actually get sunspot activity. So, you have a lot of times storms that will actually knock out communication systems. It also play havoc on your gear. So remember, to try to take a look at that. Same thing with geomagnetism and seismic activity. We were doing a restaurant up in Globe. One of their claims is they had glasses falling off the shelves. We looked at the data. There was really nothing going on, even though there was a lot of mining in the area. But it turned out they had an ice machine in the back room, which was right up against the wall. The plumbing was there. So anytime it dumped ice, it would shake. They had an actual shelving unit, which was attached to that wall, physically nailed to that wall. So as that shook, it caused those glasses to fall. But sometimes it could simply be minor quakes that are causing issues. Weather, what kind of weather is going on? Humidity, rain, that causes sound to travel. So if you're doing an EVP session, you might get something that you think is an EVP, but really it's someone down the street that's talking, and that sound is just carrying through the water, through the rain and humidity. Storms, they end up charging the atmosphere. A lot of people think that that does enhance activity. We were down at the Acadia Ranch in Oracle last night doing an event, and it was raining. We had lightning, we had thunder, and really once that all stopped, everything kicked in. But you got to realize, if it's windy out and all of a sudden you hear knocks, you have to go and investigate outside the building and see what's going on. Another good thing to do, just for yourself in general as an investigator, is learn from plumbers, learn from electricians. Hey, what makes a pipe bang in the wall? Why do lights flicker? Even talk to builders about framing and about structure, so you have a bit of an idea. We did one investigation. One of the claims were something knocks stuff off of my kitchen counter all the time. I'll lay an egg down and it'll fall off. Well, we happen to have a level in our kit. We put it on the counter, and sure enough, the counter wasn't level. So yes, if you put anything that possibly would roll like an egg, it would roll off. It's not really paranormal. And this was inside a condo. So maybe next door, they came home, they slammed their front door. That caused vibration in the walls, which the counter's attached to, and the egg fell off. So again, it's not paranormal. That's your job, is to explain some of the claims and find reasons other than paranormal why things are going on. Also, that really will help any things that are going on to kind of explain. We did another investigation. Their claims was in their master bedroom. They always felt they were being watched. They just were uneasy. So we went in there, we did a sweep, and on one side of the bed, they had this large electrical heater. On the other side, they had their Wi-Fi coming in, their router. That was causing an EM field around that entire bed. And some people are very susceptible to that. And that's what was causing this. So we told them, either get rid of that stuff or flip the bed and put it on the other side of the room. That ended up, helping that. So now the day the investigation comes in, you got to keep in mind, you need and should have your identification with you. Let's say you're investigating an abandoned building. You have permission from the owner. Get it in writing, because there's a very good chance that police might be rolling around that building and they see, flashlights or, motions inside the building and nobody should be there. They're going to come in and ask questions. And if you don't have anything valid, you might get locked up because you are trespassing. So make sure that you do have that. Second thing is comfortable shoes. You got to have comfortable shoes. I wear Skechers. They help. I'm overweight, but like, for instance, the Healy Jail up in Globe, it's concrete floors, metal stairs. Come to the end of the night, Skechers or not, whatever you're using, my God, your feet are going to be killing you. So do, be comfortable, because that is going to cause a problem during your investigation if you are not. Okay. Clothing too. People wear corduroy pants. You're walking or nylon jackets. Make sure that the clothing you wear is fairly quiet clothing, and dress in layers, because you might go into an environment. Maybe it's like today, it's raining and it'll stop. It might get warmer, or it might get colder in the evening. So have layers so you can remove or add them as needed. And don't wear your bling, leave your jewelry at home. If you're married, engagement ring, yes, fine. But we don't need necklaces and bracelets with the hoops and the hoop earrings. Take all that stuff off, because we don't want them to, cause issues during the investigation. We investigated with one girl. We show up at the investigation. Goes, "Hey, look what I bought for our investigations." and she's got these sneakers that light up when she walks. She paid $500 and it was a distraction. You don't want to do stuff like that. So again, make sure that you're wearing good footwear, especially if you're going someplace that's going to be dangerous, like a construction site or an abandoned type of building. And always have something to tell the time, because you do want to end up, when you do recordings, you want to make sure that you have that information on those recordings. Pockets, we carry a lot of gear. I have an actual bag, a shoulder bag that I use. It's got 6 pockets. It'll fit like a millimeter, if you're familiar with that, or K2. And then inside in the middle, there's a larger pocket. So I put spare batteries and things like that, because you're always going to need extra stuff. A backpack is great, but the problem with a backpack is you have to rip it off and go into it. So you're taking your eye off the ball. You always want to make sure that you're kind of looking at that stuff. So when you are going out on an investigation, you got to make sure that besides the footwear and, the clothing, you do want to make sure if you're going to wear glasses, have them. I mean, I need glasses for everything now. I'm getting older. Always on investigation. You'll never see me with glasses anywhere else in my home, watching TV, driving. But I'm on an investigation, they're with me because I need to read my readings. I need to see what's going on. It's important. Perfumes, colognes, all that type of stuff. Don't. I'm not saying don't bathe and come in stinking, but don't overdo it with stuff, because a lot of times that is going to possibly come up as, hey, I smell some type of perfume here. In the meantime, it was Mary who kind of walked through that hallway 10 minutes ago. And again, if you're in an abandoned building, anything that is under construction, bring a mask with you, gloves, protect yourself. I mean, there's rodent droppings, there's dust, mold. I was invited to look at a place. It's a silo, grain silo, and a guy wants to do paranormal events in there. Anytime we do an event, we first do an investigation. So I went down to take a look at it. There's an actual basement, but the place is phenomenal, but there's hardly any roof left. The walls were down, so there's pigeon crap everywhere. There's mold, rodent droppings. There's no way, I want my team to go in there and experience that. Never alone, an actual event coming in there. So hopefully by next year, he does have this thing going. So when it's time to head out to that investigation, bring everything that you need, and bring things that are pertinent to that investigation. Like, again, if you're going out to an abandoned building, have those masks, have those gloves, make sure that that's in your kit, or have a separate bag that has those type of things, like baby wipes. Those are extremely helpful things. When you do go out there and you have your gear, make sure you do know what they're doing, how they actually use them. That would help. Always try to find either a natural or man-made source for the things that are going off. Your REM pod's going off, your EM meter. Try to find what is actually causing that thing to go. One thing that a lot of people, you would think they would, batteries in a flashlight. I can tell you how many times I'm on an investigation, you have a flashlight. Oh, no. So make sure you bring flashlights and extra for somebody else, but always those extra batteries. The thing, a lot of the paranormal equipment, even speakers and all the different stuff we use in our daily life, it's all built-in rechargeable. That's fine and dandy, but a lot of times an entity will actually draw from that for a source of power to manifest. So if you're like an Ovilus 5, that's a built-in battery. So if you're using your Ovilus and it decides to zap that energy, that product is done for the end of the night. It's going to take 2 or 3 hours for you to sit there and charge it up, if there's even electric on site. I like things that have batteries, because if something gets drained, I can go and I can put new batteries in. My kit, I swear to God, it's got to be 35 pounds of batteries in that kit. So besides myself, and my team needs it, I'm there to be able to support them. Okay, so another thing in kits that people don't tend to bring is weird crap. I have safety pins, push pins, thread, popcorn from packing. I have like 6 or 7 pieces of popcorn in there. I use those to find wind, different things like that. Ping pong balls. The weirdest stuff you're going to find in my kit, because you never know, you're going to be someplace where you're going to need to do something and you just wish that you did have it. So you finally show up to the location, you bring in all your gear. First thing you want to do is a walkthrough. And I like to do a walkthrough with the client no gear, just a notepad, just to jot down things. Usually it's myself and one other person that will come with me. Again, we have our control group that stays behind. And you do your walkthrough, you observe everything. Hey, I can see that there's a door over there in a closet. That door is closed. There's different items. There's a planter in the middle of the table. So during your investigation, when you notice that the closet door is open or that planter moved all the way to the right, you have a mental reference and even something possibly written down. So you want to make sure that you're aware of the surroundings and things that are going on. Okay. So after you do that, then you can now go through an equipment walkthrough. Bring your cameras, bring recorders, take pictures, videotape, so you have an actual reference that when you're back and you're reviewing evidence, you're like, God, I remember that planter was actually in the middle of the table, and you can go and actually go to your video and see when that actually was there, and then looking at your evidence that you're reviewing and see that 2 hours later, something moved that. So it's really helpful to end up doing, things like that. So, okay, now you decided, all right, this is how we're going to do things. You're going to set up your equipment. So any type of video, audio, when you do turn them on, date, time, location of the investigation, and where you actually are. I'm in the master bedroom. I'm in the living room. You were setting up, this and that here, types of equipment that you're using. Besides setting up your equipment, you also have to utilize your team, deploy them. I'm very good with a camera. Both my wife and I, we have actual training. So I'm very comfortable running a camera. A lot of times I will do that on most of the investigations. So if you do have someone that is very good or likes to do that type of work, let them do that because they're probably going to excel at it. But who's going to have a still camera? Who's going to be recording? And also sessions. Who is going to lead the EVP session or the spirit box session? It doesn't have to be the same person all the time, but do have some type of a game plan. Now, a lot of times, some teams like our people, when we have everybody together, we have different teams, our sister teams that we like to do things together. Sometimes there's 8 of us. You can't investigate with 8 people. It's impossible because all you're going to do is contaminate yourself. Who's got a cough? Who shuffled their feet? You're always going to be on top of each other. So you want to try to break that down. Maybe 2 people and somebody that's going to videotape that team go in, investigate for 30 and 40 minutes. If you're running a DVR system, maybe the other part of the team will sit there and watch monitors. So after the 40 minutes, let's say team A comes out. Now team B is going to go in. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to go investigate for 30, 40 minutes. Meantime, team A, they have handheld recorders and possibly cameras. Now it's time to do an on-site review. So a lot of times you're going to catch things there that you wish you knew. If you review it, back at your office, it's too late to go in and try to do something else because you're home. You're gone from that location. So if you find something pertinent or interesting, you can go and actually kind of get really into that and try to investigate that particular theme a little bit further. So that's, one of the things that you want to try to do basically and allow everybody to get involved. You don't want people to get bored, but then again, you don't want to spoil the soup. Too many cooks. Okay, so you're going to pick your spot where you're going to start your first part of your investigation. I like to go in and sit 5 or 10 minutes. You just want to pick up the room. What type of sounds, wind currents, any type of fluctuations in temperatures, and you're going to observe. You just sit there. You're not going to be, talking or do anything like that. You can't be. So I've been on investigation with people listen to music. You just can't do that. You can't really eat. You shouldn't smoke and vape, chew gum, and all that type of stuff on an investigation. Lights, turn them on, turn them off, whatever you want to do. I mean, because the light's on doesn't mean that an entity is not going to present itself. Things are going to do what it wants to do, regardless of the conditions, whether it's 3 in the afternoon or 3 at night. It's just going to do what it does when it wants to. Okay, and remember, keep that notebook with you in case anything kind of happens. You can end up jotting it down. Now, we're all human. We cough. A lot of times you may be in the dark and you bang into a chair. Always announce that. Hey, sorry, I just coughed. I shuffled my foot. I hit a chair. I unzipped my jacket. So when you're actually reviewing that evidence, you are aware of that type of stuff, and you know that you can call that out. Now, if you happen to notice anything when you're doing that on-site review, like a door opens or anything like that, again, use that information for the next team that rolls in. When you're on investigations, try not to talk if possible. I mean, you can use hand signals. Everybody knows what this means. Everybody stop. But you can do your own things. I see something there. I hear something there. You can kind of make something up on your own verbiage, your own way to communicate without talking. And that'll be really, really helpful. Another thing I see a lot of investigators do, they set a piece of equipment down like a REM pod. Well, if you're here, please come and touch the REM pod. What the hell is a REM pod? Do you know what a spanner wrench is if I ask you to go get it? So you don't want to just say a name. You want to give it a description. Instead, say, there's a cylinder on the floor with a silver stick on top. Can you come by and make those lights light up? Don't say LEDs, because again, something might not know what an LED is. And demonstrate whatever you're using so they understand it's not going to be something that's going to harm them. Show them how it works. They might be delighted and want to do that themselves, and use the energy that they have around to be able to do that. So anytime you're investigating, you have your equipment with you. If you see something and you have a camera, take a picture of that, whatever you saw. And if you're taking a picture and you're using a flash, do announce to your teammates, say flash. Couple of reasons. A, you're going to hear the click of the camera when you're reviewing. You might not see the flash because your camera is in a different location, not where the flash is. And you hear a click and you're going to try to figure out what that is. So you'll know when somebody says flash that somebody in that group took a photo. Also, for the people, you're in the dark. You might be watching a LCD on your camera. That's your only eyes. So now all of a sudden somebody shoots a flash and you're kind of looking in that direction. Now you're blinded for 30 seconds because that flash hit you smack in the face. Another thing with conducting EVP sessions, same thing. Go in, sit down, wait 5 or 10 minutes, and just observe what's going on. When you turn on your recorders or your app on your phone, whatever you're using, do the timestamp. Hey, it's January 29th, 2021. It's 11:30 at night. We're in the kitchen of the Smith residence, and we're starting an EVP, and Tommy's going to run the session. So you have all that information. Introduce yourself. I like to know who I'm talking to. I'm sure if there's anything there, would like the same thing. Hey, this is Tom, and this is my friend Sue. Can we please speak with you? Ask permission. We would like to communicate with you. They might, also let them know they might not be able to hear you. Okay. So don't get frustrated if nothing's going on, and also let them know that the item that you have in your hand, this little rectangle with the little red light, that's going to help me listen to you later. So even though I might not acknowledge something you're saying, please continue, because I will be able to hear you later on and be able to communicate with you that way. EVP questions. You watch TV, I guess it's a time frame where it's like, is anybody here with us? Is there a male or a female here? But give it time. It's not a talk show. We're not able to instantly talk, possibly as an entity. Let them be able to get that energy developed so they can communicate with you. And originally try to start with yes and no answers. It's easier for something to say yes or no compared to, what year were you born? So once you're starting to get some type of acknowledgement, you're picking up on yeses, maybe even with the spirit box and so on and so forth, then you can get into a little more elaborate questions like, are you a male? Are you a female? Did you live here? Did you work here? Etc. You can listen back to the recorders in real time again when your team actually goes and the next team comes in. Try to do as much on site as possible. Again, if you break it down in those 40-minute segments, it kind of works out really well. And when you're done, whether it's a spirit box, whether it's a voice recorder, anything like that, thank them for their time. They didn't have to do anything with you. Be respectful, always be pleasant, treat them as you would want to be treated yourself. So now it's time to wrap everything up. Obviously, you got to go get your gear. I use cases. Everything has a hole. I can glance at a case and I know what's missing. Another thing that I end up doing is I take a picture of my case. Sometimes, like we just redid our cases, so I don't have any, reference. I haven't used them for 2 months. So I'll take a picture with my phone. So now that I have a new case layout and then I go to put everything back and I see an empty spot, I'm like, crap, what the heck is there? I can go look at my phone and say, oh yeah, that's the Ovilus 5 lives in that spot. So you don't want to leave anything behind. I mean, this stuff costs a lot of money. You leave an Ovilus 5 behind and you're looking at $400 out of your pocket that you just lost. Okay. So, be careful in doing that. And again, as you're leaving, thank them again. Ask them not to follow you. Please, we appreciate you communicating with us, but you are not allowed to come with us. If you feel inclined, there's prayers of protection that you can end up using. Some people sage themselves, a lot of different things like that. When you get home, if you're okay with it, especially in an abandoned building or anything that you're crawling around with mold or anything like that, take a shower, throw your clothes in the washer, make sure that you're clean, wipe down some of the equipment that you used a lot. So now you're back, you have all your video and your audio, you want to review all this stuff. And this is going to take a while. So the way I do my stuff is I start from the first bit right to the end. If I have a 3-hour video I have to watch, I watch the entire thing, jotting down in 2 minutes and 38 seconds voice. And I do that. I don't stop and I go back. I'm going to listen to the entire thing and I'm going to make notes as I go. The next time I listen to the audio, I'm listening to those bits and pieces. Now I'm amplifying. I never do any type of elongating. Some people do a lot of filtering and different things. I like raw audio, but sometimes I just need to amp it up a little bit, and always use headphones. So a lot of people sometimes will hear one thing and, you hear something, someone else hears something totally different. So if there's something interesting, send it off to one of your teammates or somebody's with you, have them, your wife or somebody that does investigate, have them take a listen and see what they think, especially younger ears. As we get older, we're not hearing as much as we used to. So, ask somebody, if you have your son, he's 20 years old, hey, do me a favor, man, can you kind of listen to this and tell me what you hear or what you think? Okay. So again, while you're actually reviewing, I don't know if you ever stared at a picture for 2 hours, like a picture on your wall. It gets really tiring. Review for an hour or two at a time. Take a break. Go outside, get some fresh air, sit on a couch, close your eyes, relax. You just don't want to sit there for hours and hours. You see these shows, people reviewing their stuff and they're kind of laying on top of their arms and they're half ready to fall asleep. You're missing so much stuff if you do that. So again, give yourself a bit of a rest. So we're pretty much done. Our conclusion: you've got your evidence. You have everything all set together. You can sit now and review things first with your team. Talk to them. Hey, let's talk about experiences. Now the personal experiences will come in. And during your investigation, you might have come up with questions. Last night, for instance, at Acadia Ranch, we never got this before, but on various pieces of equipment and different people were getting the name Mark. So I'm going to do a little investigating and see if I can come up with something relevant to Mark. Maybe something happened in the area 2 or 3 weeks ago where now this Mark is present. But that will also give you an opportunity to now go and check public records, historical data, or anything like that to kind of find out what was going on during your investigation. Again, you did some information review history beforehand, so you have some of that stuff. You've got some new stuff that wasn't part of that, what you originally had. Now you want to go investigate that and research that to see if there's anything going on that way. So now you have everything ready to go, and it's time to sit down with your clients. Again, a couple of times that people called, said, hey, I'd like you to come out and investigate. And yeah, we had somebody there, but they never got back to us, because it does take a lot of work to actually do this properly. So you do want to share time to sit down with your client. Don't feel bad if you sit down and say, look, we came up with nothing. And that happened once with me. She basically called me an asshole. You don't know what the F you're doing? It was just like so-and-so show, episode 12, season 3. Look, just because you're here and you have things that you think happens to you doesn't mean it's going to like come and perform for me. I'm here 6 or 8 hours. It might not like me. It might be afraid of us. It might be timid. It might stay, off in the distance. It's comfortable with you because it knows how to manipulate you. So, don't yell at me. We just came up with nothing. Show them the explanations of some of the things that you were able to find and rule out that it wasn't paranormal. Yeah, your door jamb is not plumbed, so the door will open. If you step in this area, it'll actually open up the door. Give the explanations of things that happen. Sometimes giving that natural explanation, client will really be relieved that there's something else other than a ghost that is causing that. And then, like I said, you got the other one that is, you got to be careful with them because they want to have paranormal activity. They want it to be paranormal. So after that, you're all said and done. I always follow up with our clients. You call them up. Hey, how's it going? Since we've been there, has there been anything going on? Sometimes it does help to go back. Repeat visits are really important because the more that you go and you visit someplace, you do build a rapport, especially if you're respectful, you have good nature, you're the right intent, you get that trust with them. And you can also try different variations of techniques. Maybe you picked up a new piece of gear, something like that. So all that type of stuff is very helpful. Speaking of gear, we have Ghost Hunters Outlet. I know we talked about this a while. I'm sure Keith and all, they'll be able to pop that up for you at time to take a look at some of our URLs. So you can go to our main site, which is Arizona Paranormal Investigation Research Society. You can see our intake forms up there. If you need anything like that, maybe you think it's a good idea to have an intake form or even releases, shoot me an email. I'll be glad to send you out like a Word document where you can actually put your name, your team, whatever you want in place of, our team or whatever we have in there. So you do have something that you can end up using right away. And you can always adopt it. If you have any attorneys in the family, it's always nice to have them, take a look through. But anything like that, you're more than welcome to. Equipment wise, a lot of people ask us, hey, what should I buy? Basically, it's all about you. If you don't do it the proper way, I don't care what's in your kit. You can have $5,000 worth of gear. It's going to be useless because you're not doing it right. So the mechanic that doesn't know how to repair a car, what's the sense? You got all these gadgets, but you don't know how to hook it up. And when you do, you don't know what the reading means. Understand your equipment and learn your equipment. We do have a lot of products that are on our site, which we ship for free. We're, as a distributor, we have to sell items at certain prices, like a K-tip. It's $64.90. Everywhere you go, that's what we all have because that's what we're under contract to sell. What we do to save you money, is give free shipping on a lot of these items like a K2. We also provide discount coupons. There is a coupon that you can use, which is BEER, BEER. You can go to our site. You can actually use that, and that will get you a discount on most of the equipment that we carry. We do build our own. We do have another company which is actually building some things for us. He's a retired electrical engineer. No, it's not Bill Chappell. But he is going to be working, modifying some things that are in existence and also coming up with some new stuff. So if you feel that you need equipment, go on our site. Definitely save yourself some money. And also contact me. I've been contacted. I had one woman, she contacted me. She goes, I want to buy a spirit box. I'm like, okay. Are you getting into the field? And she's like, no, my husband passed away last month and I want to try to talk to him. I felt bad to even try to sell her a spirit box. So we talked. I told her, just sit down with your phone and record. If he's there, he'll reach out to you. Have him do something, knock on something. Don't spend, $80 on something that you're going to interpret. You're going to pick up a radio station and think it's your husband. Try these things first. It's just a lot of people will sell it just for, hey, let's make a sale. But the point I'm trying to bring out is I don't want you to buy something if I really feel that you're not ready for that type of equipment yet, or something that you shouldn't be buying. Like there's music box coffins that are out there, $300. Yeah, they're cool, they're cute. Do you really need that? No, you can use that $300 to buy a whole lot of stuff. So when you're buying things, think about what you're buying and how useful and how many times you're going to use it on an investigation. Is that going to be something you're going to pop out and never get anything to show for it except a bill? So keep that stuff in mind. We got about 10 minutes or so left. I'm going to pop back on so I can see. If you guys have any questions, please, I'd like to open up a little question and answer session if you guys want to. Yeah, there I am. Oh boy, am I old. Whew. Basically, first off, most of the stuff that we used back in when equipment was starting to be used, like K2s, that's an electrician's tool. It's really designed for AC, for any type of leaks like microwave leaks, etc. FLIR, that's another thing. It's HVAC. Can we utilize it? Yes, we do utilize it. CCTV stuff, that's really designed for security. Do we use it? Yes, we use it. But more and more now, people are actually building equipment because they're out in the field and they're like, if I had something that can do this, and you research it and you talk with people, engineers, etc., and you try to produce it. If anybody is a Star Trek person, Next Generation, Geordi's mask, his visor, I love to have that damn thing. Seeing EM fields and all the different information that he has, my God, that would be a utopia for me. But yes, we build equipment because it's things that we feel that we could use. A lot of people use infrared, like the motion sensors. Infrared, we're not looking for that type of stuff. Our bodies, our actual energy is infrared. I think it's 10 microns that we actually produce. So those devices will pick up a body. If you blow, say you're vaping and you blow smoke in front of that thing, it's not going to pick it up. But an ultrasonic sensor, a lot of times will be able to pick up that vape smoke. So think about it. If there's some type of particle or a manifestation that has no solidness to it, but it is some type of vapor form, and that thing goes off, okay, there's something possibly there that we can't see, our cameras can't detect. So those types of items are what we end up doing. Favorite places like to investigate, I do like jails, just because of the type of energies and the anguish that were there, as well as hospitals and asylums. One thing that I do love, because I did a lot of this back east, we had a stage lighting company, and we did a lot of off Broadway, theaters and all. And everybody had this story. Yeah, our theater's haunted by so and so. Even here, Orphan Theater in Phoenix, which is doing events this year again. They're kind of okay. They're past COVID. So if anybody's interested in the Orphan Theater in Phoenix, please take those tours. We are going to be helping them on the 31st. We're going to do a hybrid tour. We're going to show people equipment and let them utilize it and kind of investigate a little bit. But I love theaters just because of the history. And when you're in the theater business, it's a love. You're a performer. You love to perform. You love everything about it. So that's why theaters are active, and that's why I really like those.
Definitely good information, Vinny, for sure. One thing you always bring up, and I just wanted to make sure we made a point of it, for people who are looking to spend money on equipment. There's a lot of real basic stuff you find around your house. Like you talk about bringing bells out to an investigation. We bring balls occasionally if there's children involved.
I mean, you can go to a dollar store and for $20, you could outfit a pretty interesting kit. When this all started, there weren't really K2s. There was nothing like that. We used back in the day reel recording, cassette recorders, and those things were terrible. Simply because when you record over, you're not getting rid of everything. I mean, if you want to do it right, you throw that reel out after you use it and you put a new one in.
Right.
But we didn't, because it's expensive. So it was catching a lot of different things. But we used powder or baby powder or flour. You know, when you go on into a building, especially if it's a vacant thing where you can throw powder around without cleaning up, you lay it out. You simply lay the powder out and you watch for footprints. We use thread across doors, even in a private residence. We use tape. Now with the blue tape, the painter's tape, where it comes right off, it doesn't peel paint or anything.
Right.
Those are all handy type of things that you can use. We used compasses. There was no K2 meters, and we even have a compass in our kit. I rarely take it out because it's a little one and I can't see it. So, but you know, have a compass with you, because if your meter's going crazy, like for instance at the Gila jail and Kingsley Old Cell, right outside that cell, there's a power line that's creating an EM cage. And I watch a lot of videos of people doing it because I like to see what other people are experiencing. And they're in there going, oh my God, look at this. But if they looked out the window, they would notice that the K2 is actually picking up the EM from those power lines.
Right.
How do I detect a haunting? As far as sensitivity, I'm dead as a rock. I rely on some of the people that I work with. And that was the other thing I mentioned about bringing on investigators on a specific case that you're doing, especially if they're sensitive, because you have no idea what level they are, if they're really sensing it. Everybody is different. The people that I work with, I'm comfortable with, I'm confident in their ability, and I will rely on it. Where, you know, if I'm not familiar with somebody says, yeah, I sense, you know, a cowboy sitting over on the chair, I have to take your word for it. I don't have any type of reference with you. So as far as me detecting a haunting, I should say detecting evidence, again, things have to support evidence. If a K2 lights up, you know how much RF interference is out there, microwaves. I mean, we're getting bombarded with particles all day long. So a lot of EM meters are going to go off for the hell of it. Same thing with REM pods. EVPs, recorders, a lot of times we use inductive mics, dynamic mics, because the way a dynamic mic works is the actual diaphragm sits in a magnetic field. When we speak, we're pushing out air. Our ears vibrate, sends electrical signal to our brain, and it hears what I'm saying. I don't think spirits have voices. I think it is energy. But there's so much of it out there now with Wi-Fi and, you know, police cruisers and taxis and ambulance, and everything around us is RF now. That's why so many people are into, you know, shielding themselves when they sleep, because there's so much of it that these devices are picking that up. So if I have a cute EVP, that's nice. If I have a REM pod going off, that's nice. If I have something which is pertaining to what I'm doing, if it says my name, if I ask, you know, what color is my shirt, how many fingers am I holding up? If I'm getting intelligent responses that are relevant to things that are happening and I have things going off, that's kind of where I can say, yeah, this has the possibility of being haunted. Locations that I think are haunted that I've visited, 2. And this is haunted, not paranormal activity, different. Haunted is actual intelligent haunting. I believe the Gila jail is haunted, and also Stanton, Arizona, that ghost town that they have there. We just had too much stuff going on, doors moving, so much stuff happening that there's something going on there. Are places that have paranormal activity, again, the word paranormal, not able to explain scientific methods or, you know, rational talk ways. So yes, there are many places that have paranormal activity because they're unexplained. So I hope that kind of answered sort of what you were thinking.
Yeah, that was a good explanation. You in one of your emails you sent a little audio clip. Did you want us to play that?
No, I decided not. It was going to be a part about you know, knowing your team, and also if you do something, you want to throw it up real quick. I think it's like 9 seconds.
Yeah, Joey can play it while we stay on. I think.
Play it real quick, and you guys can kind of laugh a little bit.
Pardon me?
Okay. You said, pardon me. Now, you're reviewing, you're not there. This is an audio clip, so there's no visual. We can't see anything. All of a sudden, you hear, what the hell is that?
Now, like card shuffling.
Said, pardon me. Again, that let me know that it was actually a body function. Somebody actually caused that sound.
Right.
So, you know, that was important. And it's funny. and I busted his balls for weeks after that. Again, a lot of people on camera, you see, doing all this weird stuff, scratching their crotches. Even when we do, some of the ghost hunts at the fundraisers we do an isolation session, and we have the people in the room. We have a camera on them. I'm telling them, look, remember, you're on film. It's not going to be up on YouTube. It will be something that all the people that are participating on that event, they're the only ones who are going to see, because it's going to be an unlisted link. Same thing with our clients on our YouTube channel. If you go up there, you might see, stuff on historic locations. We do pieces of equipment that we're kind of showing you. You're not going to see client videos. That's confidential. We have the Orphan Theater. That's one of our clients. That's not something for the public to see. They don't want it to be seen. Yeah, around Halloween, flashlight tour. We talk about Maddie and the gentleman downstairs and all the different things, but it's something that they don't want to be known for. So we respect.
Cool. That was a lot of great information.
Yeah.
So those are in Arizona. Kansas as well. They do events at some of the locations that we do. We're all doing this to keep these places going. People ask, what's your favorite place that you investigated, or blah, blah, blah. If they lose the support of people like us, because there is less and less money coming from the government these days. There's more things going now with COVID. Where did all that money come from? Well, some things kind of said, well, instead of giving X amount of dollars to historic locations, we cut that back. So their funds are going to be dwindling, and they're going to continue to dwindle. And it's something that a lot of people look at these places and go, an old jail, who gives a crap? Let's knock it down and put a condo in, or a Starbucks. Right? That's more better for everybody. So our events, their events, and there's a couple other folks in Arizona, come to those events. Help us support these locations. It's very important to keep these places available for our kids and their kids in the future, because once a piece of history is gone, it's gone. It's forgotten about.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. I'll throw your thing up there one more time. So AZ Ghost Tours is where they can find those tours and come out and join the crew. And if they're interested in any equipment, you got Ghost Hunters Outlet you guys can check out. And make note of that if you guys want to contact Vinny for any reason.
But again, thank you guys very much. And I want to thank you folks. Power Unity is something I've always been after. It's been sort of difficult here in Arizona. I think things are kind of turning around that corner and getting a bit better, with Jay Marie, with their power cons and everything that a lot of people are trying to do, like you guys. So I want to thank you guys for putting this stuff together and getting these people, together. It's something that we should continue to do. And anytime you have anything going, I'll support you guys as much as I can.
Awesome. We appreciate that. Yeah. We love you, Vinny, what you do, and working with you. It's been a lot of fun. So
yeah, we got a big couple of weeks coming up.
Yes, we do.
We do. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks for joining us, Vinny. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Everyone stay well.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this segment. We have, speaking of Candace, we have Candace coming up next talking about some Reiki. So that'll be a lot of fun.
So cool.
All right. We'll see you guys in a bit.